after quite a number of months of deliberations and presentations and ad hoc committee meetings, Board of Estimate and Taxation meetings, we are at the point this evening where the first item on our agenda is the approval of our fiscal year 2015-16 operating budget and tax rates. So either Tom or...
Sure, I'm going to turn it mostly over to Bob, just open it up by saying this is really the culmination, conclusion of the budget process for the Board of Estimate for the year. So this is the night when you set the final budget. This is your final vote on the budget, and you also are required to set the mill rates. So this really concludes the budget process. We sent out a summary of where we were, and I think what was included in the package was the last official action taken by the Board of Estimates. So this was the tentative operating budget, and we indicated in here that there were going to be some final adjusting recommendations, and Bob will present those to you. I think we can fairly describe these adjustments here as essentially technical in nature. We aren't coming forward with some big new, substantive initiative, but we have, it's mostly dealing with adjustments to wage accounts to again reflect turnover and certain other adjustments that Bob will talk about.
Great.
So Tom mentioned this big sheet here. If you turn to the very last page, you'll see in blue, I think it is,
Yep.
you'll see that the expense budget is being reduced by $41,002, and as a consequence, the revenue budget then is being reduced by $41,002. These are the technical adjustments that Tom had mentioned. If these are approved, lock, stock, and barrel, we will be this $41,002 under the cap that we had sent to the Common Council earlier in April. So, instead of, and I'm happy to answer any questions on the detail of the 4 pages, but I did send a summary that is a 2-page. I made copies for tonight if you guys didn't have a chance to print it out. Does everybody have a copy of these? Sure.
Thank you. Oh, you just gave it to me. I'm sorry.
Okay. Any other?
I give it to him.
I thought the easiest thing to do would be to break it up into 2 big categories. The largest change. This is for you. Thank you, sir. The largest change is the announced early retirements that we've received since we completed the tentative approved budget in early April. And what will happen is that we'll have a person, let's say at a grade 10, and they've been here so many years, they're at the very highest step. But when they retire, we budget their replacement in, let's say they're at a step 5, we'll budget their replacement in at a step 1. And so there's that savings in the entire spread of steps in that particular grade level. That's what the majority of these are. Offsetting increases, net increases of $71,000, that's the second big piece, is four areas. We had a $32,000 increase in what the city is paying for its medical insurance. You'll remember that when Tom and I came before you to approve the tentative budget, we had just updated the insurance projection and it had gone down, so we had a big win. What we didn't do is adjust what the enterprise funds, our parking authority and WPCA, pay us for their employees. And so that's what this $32,000 is the overall budget went down, and since the amount they're paying us is going down, our share goes up by a like amount. The total insurance budget has not changed since we discussed it at the beginning of April, but the amount that we're receiving from the enterprise funds is going down by 32, so we got to go up by 32. That's the first one. The $47,728 is an increase in what the WPCA has revised what they're going to charge the city for for WPCA employees doing city work. This calculation is primarily for their GIS person, who they pay 100% out of their budget, but that does a lot of work for the city. But there's also some stormwater work that they do on our behalf that they'll bill us in this $47,000. The third bullet shows a $6,900 longevity payment decrease, and those are due to the retirements. I don't think you get retirements till year 5 or year 7, longevity payments. And so when we hire new people, they won't be getting longevity, and the people that had retired, they were receiving it. So we have another $6,900 decrease there. And then all of the other miscellaneous things listed here total up to an additional $1,567 decrease. And I'll just give you the idea how trivial some of them are. The Board of Education did an audit on their cable bill and had found some accounts that didn't appear good, so they canceled them. Well, the mayor's office went dark and DPW went dark. So we go, wait a minute. We call the cable company, find out. The easiest way, rather than splitting up the bill, is say, hey, please continue to bill us. We'll pay for our boxes. Send us a bill and we'll split out the charges between the mayor and DPW. So you'll see 2 line items. I think the mayor has $100 and some odd and DPW has $400. So these are the types of miscellaneous changes that are contained in that 1,567. So now let's move to the second page on this little 2-pager. And you'll see in yellow the 2 categories we just reviewed. The regular wages, $112,000 reduction, and the other being the $71,000 increase. So under regular wages, you'll see, let's skip town clerk, that's the first one. Let's go to the finance department, which is the next one down. You'll see the administrative support 2 position. That position was a grade 10, step 5 at $57,550. But this person announced retirement and is going to vacate on June 30th, according to the note next to her name. The replacement position is being budgeted at a grade 10, but step 1. And so that difference is a $10,199 pickup. Most of the items in here are for that very reason, and I have comments off to the right, from the top step to the bottom step. You'll notice the very top one, we'll go back to the town clerk. That's a little different. That is going from a step 11 down to a step 10. This was a settled contract a long time ago that assessed the positions that would be approved for a given department, in this case the town clerk. And it was only, they signed up for it only to be a grade 10 for the administrative assistant. However, we already had an employee there that was at a grade 11, so they call that redlining. We're going to continue to pay you at a grade 11, but the contract says whenever we replace you, we're going to replace at a grade 10. That's what was negotiated with the union. So that one was a little different, and as you could see, the top step of a grade 11 to the bottom step of a grade 10, we had a pickup of $13,088. So that's the only difference there. So it was a lot of money, $112,000. So I wanted to provide you with the detail by organization code that supports the big sheet that I handed out. And then the others are listed on the bottom, and they're exactly what I had told you, those 4 categories. The longevity reduction, the miscellaneous reduction, the $32,000 for the insurance reimbursement from the enterprise funds going down, so our payment goes up, and then the $47,000 our share of the GIS work for the WPCA. So, if there's any questions on the two-pager, or if you've gone through the big sheet and you have any questions there. Oh, one other thing, I'm so sorry, is the library, in this year's budget, remember our last year's deliberations, we said that we're going to hire Guardian as the building manager for the libraries, and we did in fact do that. But what Guardian asked us to do, like they do with every one of the other department in buildings that they manage the budgets for, they asked for us to peel out the expenses that they'll manage, and then they will contact the vendors, have the vendors send the bills to them, they'll approve them. And it's only right, if they're responsible for the accounts, they should be receiving the bills and approving them. And so it was a dollar for dollar switch. We reduced the library's accounts, and Guardian gave us a split between the main library and the South Norwalk branch. And so you'll see under the library in that big sheet a whole lot of changes. Almost all but the top two, the regular wage and the longevity we've already talked about, are just a split between the library, main branch, and Sono branch that are going to be covered by Guardian.
Just to be clear on that, though, what we're doing is creating activities within the library that are for building maintenance functions. So the building maintenance costs of the libraries will still be within the library budget, but just as, say, in DPW or the police department or any of the bigger departments where we've got multiple divisions and activities, we'll now have, I guess, 3 activities within the library, one for library operations, and then one for building operations at the main library, and the second one for building operations at the Sono branch.
And you'll notice that if you actually look at the org number, the first 2 letters are the general fund. Our first 2 numbers are 01, that's our general fund. The 62 is the library. 6,200 is the organization that Chris has had for all her library expenses before, but now you'll see a 6,210, which is the main library, and a 6,220 that is for the Sono branch. But they all roll up to the library organization, which is the 62 department code.
I think, Bob, in terms of the mill rates,
I just have a question on the sheet.
There? Yes.
When it comes, under police department, and you got vacancies in the police officers, were they due to retirements or what? Because I see the difference only of about, well, I don't have my glasses, but less than $3,000 in each, or $2,717 between the 2 salary levels.
You know what, I believe that's the not being hired before April 1st, because I think
They
it's
don't
a
get
grade 1420. If
I
they
got
would have
you.
been hired before April
They get
1st,
the
they would have
step.
qualified
Right,
for the
okay,
step, but
right.
they didn't.
I thought it was a
because they didn't
retirement
get
where
hired.
you had a top pay police officer retiring and a new person coming in.
No,
It
I'm
seems to be
sorry.
quite a bit lower than, okay.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
identify that, but
Okay.
that is exactly what's happening there.
I see, yeah, they don't get hired by April 1st, they don't get a step on July 1st.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
in terms of mill rates, what we had sent out are these mill rates the same as what the final mill rates, have they changed from
Well,
the summary that went out to the Board of Estimate?
Well, yes, because assuming you approve this $41,002 reductions that we just approved, you'll see in this 3-pager that came in your package, this was the impact of all your approved changes as of the tentative approved budget. But for
You have an extra copy of that, that didn't come in my package.
It should be right up front.
Yeah, no, Sally put it together. I got it, thank you.
It starts with the letter, yeah, yeah, so there's the third page of that.
Okay, yeah.
So you'll see on the three-pager here that you'll see for the first taxing district in bold, the tentative 2015-16 mill rate. It's about in the middle, physically in the middle of the page. You'll see a mill rate of 25.384. Now, that means that a tax bill on a home that was assessed for $1,000 would be $25.38.4. The change for the first, second, and third district goes to 25.371. So instead of 38.4 cents in $25 and 38.4, it's $25.37.1 cents.
So a huge decrease.
Yeah. So very, very small. It's
But,
it's
so they
about
don't-
a penny
They don't have
on
the
the
final, or
$1,000.
they have the rate bill?
No, well, I have the two copies that they have to
'Cause
sign.
I think we need to,
We have
they
to
need
set
to
the
vote
mill
on,
rate,
yeah.
they need to
Yes.
set on the, they need to set the mill rate, so
Okay.
we need
Well-
them to vote on the mill rate,
I was reluctant to
or mill rates, actually.
Yes, exactly.
pass out things because I didn't know if you were going to add or subtract. There's actually, the library is here and they
Right.
have an issue that may impact the budget. And so I didn't want to have a lot of things that I'd have to collect back and all. But yeah, it's a very, very small.
He was being green.
Yeah, it's about a one, well, it's anywhere between 10 and 12 1/1000ths of a mil
Yes.
change. So it's not much, it's $41,000 reduction.
Okay, so-
If I could just bring us back to
Later.
what the vote would be. Tom said we'll be voting on a budget and the corresponding mill rates. So, right now, I have before you $41,002 worth of reductions from the current expense budget, which brings what was approved at the beginning of April of $327,030,611 down to what's before you, $326,989,609. And there's the variance, Tom, 41,002. And so that would be a budget that you would vote upon.
Okay.
And then if there's no other changes, then I have a rate bill that has the corresponding mill rates. It would be as follows. For districts 1, 2, 3, 8, and 9, it would be 25.371. And I'll pass, as a matter of fact, I could pass one of these around while I read from the other. For District 4, it would be 25.430 mils on the dollar. District 5 would be 24.710 mils on the dollar. District 6 and 7 would be 22.852 mils on the dollar. And then for our motor vehicle mill rate, that would be 28.805 mils on the dollar. So again, a total expenditure budget of $326,989,609 and the
add
aforementioned
something.
mill rates.
Let me add, I think they should also put in the motion the corresponding tax levy, I think, since
Okay.
they're setting the tax levy, so why don't we also get that number on the record?
And the total tax levy would be $296,608,814.
That's after the other governmental revenues?
Right. And all other revenues other than taxes,
Right.
so state aid,
Yeah.
departmental revenues and so forth.
After intergovernmental revenues, that is the gross levy, which is the average mill rate times the grand list.
Right.
Yeah, that's the gross levy, and then from that, Mayor, we would take out a reserve from uncollected. We'd take out from it the elderly tax relief and tax appeals, and then we would add to it back tax collections and other tax revenues.
To get to the total.
To get to the total revenues that we collect.
And one other thing Lisa advises me, which is in your rate bill, so this is something that we'll ask you to sign as well, and that is the establishment of the due date for taxes, which no change from prior practice, which is taxes are due on or before the first day of July 2015, and supplemental taxes are due on or before the first day of January 2016. The taxes, I'm sorry, that's the
That's the motor vehicle.
that's the motor
supplemental
vehicle, right, and so all of the other districts, the real estate taxes are due one half in July 2015 and the balance, the second half in January 2016.
Could you give us approximate mill rate increases in each of the districts?
You know on your.
You have
Yeah.
it in here, I didn't know.
Let's
Yeah.
have that on the-
Does that
Yeah,
still
you
stand?
know on that 3-page, that was the tentative approved?
Does that still
We're
stand?
only 41,000 off of those numbers, so those 1.3 for
so even the
they're
rounding is the
essentially
same.
the
Yeah.
same. I mean,
Well, it's
about
1.4,
1.4.
1.4.
Mill rate increase is 34.34.
I'm sorry, what is it?
0.34,
0.34?
with the exception of fifth.
Oh, I see, up top here, yeah.
0.39 and
And
sixth is
0.44.
0.44.
Okay, so shall we first approve these miscellaneous changes?
You're right, I think you should approve the
before-
miscellaneous changes.
So that we are
Right.
working with,
Yeah.
all right, so,
The miscellaneous changes total
002.
$41,002.
so may I have a motion to accept these changes of $41,002 that were presented this evening as open items?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Anderson moves the item. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Opposed? Okay, thank you, that passes. Okay, so now we can move on.
Oh, shit, yeah. I did, no, these are perfect, but I just realized Ed's gone. And so, will Ed be joining us later? Maybe
Yeah.
he can bring it with us. For
Yeah.
his signature,
The
for
ones
to sign them.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that you read are not
He
the
was
ones
running to the
online.
pharmacy.
I know,
Yeah,
I
he
told
might even
you
be back.
It's, yeah,
They're up by like 1,000.
right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's what I came over
You
and
wanna-
mentioned to you.
Gary,
There's
wanna
3
say
of them
something
that are
about the
different.
text things going back?
This one is the same,
Well, he
and
said
the
something
next
about
3 are up by
later on he's gonna be-
Yeah.
1.3
But he might just be
thousands or
Okay.
something.
He did
yeah,
adjust
so
there, who knows?
That's the effect of that.
That's 7,500 that
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
taken out.
Because he will need to sign it, he could always come by anyway if he needs to. All right, so as far as the next order of business, as far as approval, now are we,
So,
They can
if I
sign-
may,
they can sign that. Those
can
right
I
here can
sign
sign it,
these,
yeah.
have these two? I
Right,
think
but we
one
need,
was-
first we need a
Oh,
motion
we need
to
a
approve the
motion.
budget and
That's
the
what I'm
tax
saying.
levy and the mill rates.
okay. All right,
Is that
so,
all one motion?
I think you can do that as one motion.
okay, so we need a motion on the floor to approve, first of all, the operating budget amount, which is,
$326,989,609.
With a corresponding tax levy
Thank you.
of,
$296,608,814.
and,
mill rates as reflected on the
Rate bill that'll be signed by each of
Okay.
you.
all right, so that is the motion I'm looking for.
Do we have to quote that motion in entirety?
I think it has been taken down.
You got it.
So I think you can.
I will move the motion that has been already been stated
As
and put
stated.
into record, Mr. Clark.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anderson. Okay, and with that, any further discussion after all these months? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.